There are messy breakups, and then there's whatever is happening right now inside the ever-chaotic world of 90 Day Fiancé. Because fans across America are asking one question that sounds almost too bizarre to be real. Why is Colt Johnson, one of the franchise's most controversial and polarizing figures, reportedly living under the same roof as his ex, Cortney Reardanz, and her new boyfriend? For longtime viewers of the franchise, that headline alone sounds like the setup for another reality TV disaster waiting to explode. But according to multiple reports, social media posts, and fan speculation surrounding the cast members connected to the 90-Day universe, this unusual living arrangement has sparked intense debate online. Is this simply a financial necessity? A friendship gone unconventional? A calculated move for attention? Or is there something much deeper happening behind the scenes that viewers are only beginning to understand? And perhaps the most fascinating part of this entire story is that it touches on something far bigger than reality television. Because underneath the awkward Instagram lives, strange roommate dynamics, and internet gossip sits a very modern American reality: unstable relationships, rising financial pressures, blurred emotional boundaries, and the increasingly complicated way people navigate adulthood in public view. Tonight, we're diving deep into the strange and emotional story behind Colt, Cortney, and the boyfriend caught in the middle. We'll examine the timeline, the reactions, the franchise history, the emotional fallout, and the social media frenzy that has turned this into one of the most talked-about relationship mysteries in the extended 90-Day universe. And by the end of the story, viewers may walk away asking a completely different question. Not, why is Colt living there? But rather, what does this entire situation reveal about the emotional cost of reality television fame itself? To fully understand why this story exploded online, Americans first have to understand the long and complicated history of the people involved, especially the man at the center of the controversy, Colt Johnson. For years, Colt has been one of the most recognizable and divisive personalities in the entire 90-Day franchise. Viewers first met him alongside his mother Debbie during one of the franchise's most memorable and uncomfortable relationship arcs. Colt's relationships often became explosive television because they mixed emotional vulnerability, manipulation accusations, family dependency, jealousy, and deeply awkward confrontations in ways that reality TV audiences simply could not stop watching. His relationship with Larissa Lima became infamous among fans. Their fights, emotional blow-ups, police involvement, and eventual separation transformed Colt into one of the franchise's central controversy magnets. Over time, viewers developed strong opinions about him. Some saw him as emotionally immature and manipulative. Others believed he was socially awkward, deeply insecure, and struggling to find stability under the intense spotlight of reality television fame. But regardless of how fans viewed him, one thing became undeniable: Colt became reality TV spectacle personified. Meanwhile, Cortney Reardanz entered the franchise with a very different energy. Cortney was often perceived by viewers as quirky, unconventional, free-spirited, and emotionally unpredictable. Her appearances in the franchise generated fascination because she seemed to approach relationships in a completely different way than many of the more confrontational personalities in the 90-Day ecosystem. Unlike some cast members who leaned heavily into aggression and chaos, Cortney often appeared detached, eccentric, or almost surreal in her interactions. Fans frequently debated whether she was misunderstood, socially awkward, refreshingly authentic, or simply someone who processed relationships differently from the average person. And that difference matters enormously when trying to understand how this unusual living arrangement may have even become possible in the first place. Reports and fan discussions suggest that Colt and Cortney developed a friendship that extended beyond what audiences initially expected. In the strange, social ecosystem created by reality television, former cast members often form close bonds because they share experiences outsiders simply cannot understand. Public scrutiny, online criticism, meme culture, producer manipulation allegations, financial instability after reality fame, and fan obsession create a pressure cooker environment that can push reality TV personalities toward each other emotionally. That dynamic exists across nearly every major reality franchise in America. Cast members who appear completely incompatible on-screen often become close friends off-camera because they share the emotional burden of living their lives publicly. But things became dramatically more complicated when reports surfaced suggesting Colt was staying with Cortney while she was also involved with a new boyfriend. Immediately, social media erupted. Because to the average American viewer, the arrangement sounded almost impossible to imagine functioning peacefully. Ex-boyfriends and ex-girlfriends living together is already emotionally complicated. Add a new romantic partner into the equation, and many people assume disaster becomes inevitable. And yet, according to discussions circulating among fans, the situation may not be as hostile or dramatic as people initially assumed. That contradiction only intensified public fascination. Some viewers speculated that Colt may have been dealing with financial struggles or housing instability. Others suggested emotional support may have played a role. Some fans believed the arrangement reflected modern non-traditional friendships. Critics argued the entire thing felt emotionally unhealthy, attention-seeking, or deeply uncomfortable. But behind all the internet jokes and memes lies a deeper truth about the reality TV industry itself. Because unlike Hollywood actors or elite celebrities, many reality TV stars do not necessarily leave their shows with long-term wealth or stability. Fame comes fast. Public exposure becomes massive, but financial security often remains uncertain. Cast members may suddenly become recognizable nationwide while still facing ordinary struggles involving rent, relationships, employment, mental health, and personal identity. And for many 90-day personalities, the line between personal life and entertainment eventually disappears altogether. That matters because Colt's life has unfolded almost entirely in public view for years now. Fans watched his romantic failures. They watched his fights. They watched his emotional breakdowns. They watched family conflicts involving Debbie become central franchise storylines. They watched him become internet meme material. They watched him repeatedly try to reinvent himself. Public humiliation became part of the entertainment package. And over time, that level of scrutiny can fundamentally reshape a person's emotional world. Meanwhile, Cortney has often occupied a different space within fan conversations. Rather than being perceived primarily as a villain, she became more associated with unpredictability, awkward humor, and unconventional behavior. Fans often viewed her as someone existing slightly outside the standard reality TV personality mold. That contrast may partially explain why some viewers think this bizarre arrangement somehow works. Because for all the chaos surrounding the story, others argue that Colt and Cortney may simply have developed a genuine friendship rooted in shared understanding. And in a world where reality TV relationships frequently implode publicly, perhaps emotional survival sometimes creates unusual alliances. Still, the presence of the new boyfriend complicates everything. Because Americans watching this unfold immediately began imagining the emotional tension involved. What boundaries exist inside that house? How does the boyfriend actually feel? Is jealousy involved? Are unresolved feelings lingering between Colt and Cortney? Or are fans projecting traditional relationship expectations onto people living very unconventional lives? These questions transformed what could have been a minor celebrity rumor into a full-scale social media obsession. And the internet did what it always does best. It turned confusion into spectacle. As reports and online discussions surrounding the living arrangement began spreading across fan communities, viewers quickly started piecing together clues from social media appearances, live streams, photos, interviews, and interactions connected to the extended 90-day universe. Unlike major Hollywood scandals fueled by official press statements, reality TV controversies often evolve through fragments. Fans become investigators. Reddit threads explode. TikTok creators analyze body language. Instagram comments become evidence. Podcasts speculate. And before long, a full narrative emerges, whether completely accurate or not. That appears to be exactly what happened here. According to fan discussions and online chatter, Colt was allegedly staying with Cortney during a period when she was also involved with a new romantic partner. The arrangement immediately triggered confusion because viewers naturally assumed emotional complications would follow. And yet, there were indications that everyone involved appeared relatively comfortable publicly. That alone shocked many viewers, because in traditional American relationship culture, ex-partners sharing close living quarters, especially alongside new partners, often signals unresolved emotional entanglements. Popular culture has trained audiences to expect jealousy, betrayal, confrontation, or secret romantic tension. Reality television itself reinforces those expectations constantly. But fans following the situation noticed something unusual. There didn't initially appear to be explosive public hostility between the parties involved. Instead, what emerged was something stranger, an atmosphere of awkward coexistence. And that ambiguity became addictive for online audiences. Some viewers began theorizing that Colt's presence in the home reflected practical circumstances rather than romantic ones. Housing costs across America remain high. Financial uncertainty affects millions. Temporary roommate situations among friends are increasingly common, especially among people navigating unstable employment or sudden life transitions. Others pointed out that reality TV fame can create highly irregular income streams. Cast members often experience bursts of attention followed by financial uncertainty. Social media monetization fluctuates. Public interest fades. Sponsorship opportunities disappear. Emotional burnout grows. Under those conditions, unconventional living situations may become less shocking than audiences initially assume. But critics online were unconvinced. Many argued the arrangement felt emotionally inappropriate regardless of financial explanations. Some fans accused the group of intentionally creating chaos for publicity and future storyline relevance. Others worried the situation reflected unhealthy emotional dependency patterns that viewers had already observed in Colt's previous relationships. And because Colt's past relationship history has been heavily documented on television, audiences naturally interpreted this new story through the lens of earlier controversies. That context is important. Reality TV viewers rarely analyze cast members as isolated individuals. Instead, they build long-term psychological narratives around them. Every new action becomes connected to earlier perceptions. For critics who already distrusted Colt, this arrangement seemed like further evidence of emotional instability or blurred boundaries. For supporters, however, the situation reflected something more human, a flawed person relying on friendship during difficult times. But beyond the humor, the story also triggered deeper cultural conversations. Because millions of Americans increasingly recognize that relationships today do not always follow traditional patterns. Economic instability, loneliness, social isolation, and changing attitudes toward romance have created more unconventional living arrangements nationwide. Former partners remaining friends is far more common than it once was. Roommate culture among adults has expanded dramatically due to housing costs. Emotional boundaries have become more fluid in many social circles, and reality television often magnifies these societal shifts in exaggerated ways. That's partly why the story resonated so strongly. People were not simply reacting to Colt and Cortney specifically. They were reacting to broader anxieties about modern relationships themselves. Can people truly move on emotionally while remaining physically close? Is emotional closure even possible in environments built around public attention? Do reality TV personalities lose their ability to distinguish authentic relationships from performative ones? And perhaps most importantly, what happens when your personal identity becomes inseparable from audience entertainment? Because for many 90-day stars, every personal crisis becomes content. Every breakup becomes engagement. Every awkward moment becomes monetizable. That pressure can distort human behavior over time. Fans also became deeply divided over Cortney herself. Some praised her for offering support and demonstrating emotional openness. Others accused her of enabling unhealthy dynamics. A portion of viewers admired what they viewed as a non-judgmental approach to friendship. Critics argued the situation lacked healthy boundaries altogether. The boyfriend's role became another major point of fascination. Viewers wondered whether he genuinely felt comfortable with the arrangement, or whether public appearances mask deeper discomfort. Internet speculation intensified because audiences often assume jealousy must exist under such circumstances. And yet, without confirmed behind-the-scenes details, much of the online conversation remains speculative. Still, speculation is the lifeblood of reality TV culture. The less clarity audiences receive, the more emotionally invested they become. That uncertainty fuels engagement, and engagement fuels visibility, which raises another uncomfortable question: did the attention itself become part of the appeal? Reality TV fame operates within a strange economy where personal exposure directly translates into relevance. Cast members who disappear from public conversation often lose monetization opportunities quickly. Controversy keeps personalities visible. Awkwardness keeps audiences watching. Emotional unpredictability becomes branding. And whether intentional or accidental, this living arrangement generated exactly the kind of viral curiosity that sustains reality TV ecosystems. From a psychological perspective, the situation surrounding Cortney, and her boyfriend reflects several larger emotional trends increasingly visible across American society. Relationship experts frequently note that modern adult friendships and romantic boundaries have become significantly more fluid than in previous generations. Economic pressure, emotional loneliness, delayed marriage trends, and digital communication culture have reshaped how people define intimacy itself. Former romantic partners sometimes remain deeply emotionally connected without necessarily pursuing reconciliation. That dynamic can create both healthy support systems and emotionally dangerous confusion. The distinction often depends on unresolved attachment patterns. And that's where public scrutiny complicates matters further. Experts who study reality television have long warned that prolonged public exposure can distort emotional decision-making. Cast members begin experiencing their lives through an audience lens. Conflict becomes incentivized. Vulnerability becomes performative. Authentic emotions become tangled with public perception. In Colt's case, years of public criticism and relationship failures may have intensified dependency on familiar emotional connections. Meanwhile, Cortney's unconventional personality and public image may make her more open to non-traditional social arrangements that others would immediately reject. Financial realities may also play a major role. Reality TV audiences often overestimate how wealthy cast members actually become. Outside a handful of major breakout stars, many reality personalities experience inconsistent income streams. Appearances, social media promotions, subscription content, interviews, and influencer deals fluctuate dramatically. Temporary living arrangements among friends become far more understandable under those circumstances. But psychologists would also likely warn about the emotional complexity involved in cohabitating with ex-partners. Even when romantic feelings appear resolved consciously, emotional familiarity can maintain attachment bonds subconsciously. Adding a new partner into the environment intensifies emotional risk because boundaries become harder to define clearly. Jealousy may emerge indirectly. Power dynamics may shift subtly. Emotional confusion can